Welcome back, everybody. This is the Take Two podcast with the Frame Brothers. I am Jameson Frame, as always, accompanied by my brother Reed Frame. Uh, First week of football on this past week. It was awesome. That means we're following it up with Overreaction Tuesday because obviously everybody knows this is how the rest of the season is going to go. We already know everything we need to know about all the teams. So me and Reed will be breaking down everything you need to know. No, we'll be breaking down the teams and whatnot. Try not. We'll give you some overreactions. We'll give you some. Hey, let's pump the brakes on some of this stuff because obviously teams are ironing out the kinks. Teams are rusty. A lot of teams look bad. Great for running backs. Not good for wide receivers this week. It's kind of an interesting week in football altogether. So, Reed, did you enjoy watching the games? Did you have
I
anything
loved
you
it.
thought was
I'm
awesome?
I missed football. I missed football, man. Yeah, just watching
Absolutely. I was right there
Red
with you.
Zone again. Yeah, watching Red Zone again. It was amazing. Just flipping between channels is amazing. But the
It
first
was
thing
almost
I
a little
want
chaotic.
it was you got to
Like
get used to it.
it,
That octo box, you know,
the
that
octo
octo
box, and
box.
then like the first like 10 minutes, he's just like, Scott Hansen's he's flipping through all the different channels. I'm like, this is like overwhelming. Like I gotta get back into shape with this, like keep up with what's
Yeah,
going on. So
like
but it
conditioning.
was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. It's always a good time. Football. You can't really go wrong with football, right?
Not
But
me.
my biggest standout, I wouldn't say biggest. One thing that I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Marvin Harrison Jr., man.
One
What
catch.
what was he? He was like the fourth pick, right? I think he was the fourth pick overall. And he
I
week
believe
one
so.
gets one catch.
Yeah, I think that's one of those pump the brakes. I think it
Yeah,
was
it's one of my pump the
he was
brakes,
out there
yeah.
for he was out there for majority of the snaps. He got a couple targets. I think overall, I mean, I was surprised. Don't get me wrong. Specifically in that game, if we want to dive into that one, the Cardinals and the Bills for the score, the outcome of that game, 34-28. I was surprised by how little both teams were slinging the rock. Josh Allen didn't have a single passing touchdown. He just ran for two of them. Had a great game, but I'd say he is on pace for his lowest season of passing yards and passing touchdowns right now.
Hey, who predicted
Um,
that one?
and not that anybody called that. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be weird. But yeah, I was surprised he didn't get a lot of targets. Trey McBride got a crap ton of targets, so no surprise there. He's supposed to be a pretty good fantasy running back or tight
Tight end.
end. Talking about their running back, James Conner had a heck of a game, and I was very much down on him, so that was surprising to me.
One thing that caught me by surprise is Greg Dortch. He had a lot of targets. I think he had like 8 targets and like 4 catches. You can
Yeah,
fact check me on that. It was somewhere in that area. I was surprised. He's their slot receiver mostly, and Kyler Murray was throwing it to him more than I thought. I was expecting Greg Dortch to be like in fantasy scoring 1.9 a game or something like that. He didn't have that good of a fantasy day. If you go look at the points, I don't think he was even over 10. But I do like fantasy wise here. I do like how much of his target share it was. Like he was getting targeted 8 times. That's a lot of potential there. Waiver wire pickup, maybe. If you're in a redraft league, I would definitely look. If you got a roster spot, I would take the chance on him. If those targets stay the same through week two, week three, eventually he's going to start catching them, especially as a slot receiver who's running short routes, drag routes in a PPR league. If he's running those short routes and he's getting targeted 8 times a game, and he catches 6 of those 8 targets, that's 6 points right there, plus the yardage. If you're in a deep league, like a 12 man, you can throw him in your flex, and that might be 12 points. So, just a little thought there on Greg Dortch. Yeah,
the one thing with that though, I don't totally disagree with you, but Marvin Harrison is going to start getting targets his way. There's no way the rest of the season he gets 3 targets a game. They were a wide receiver needed team. They went out and got their wide receiver. I don't know what the situation was, what was going on, why they didn't throw it to him, but rest assured he will start getting targets as the season goes on. So no need to panic on Marvin Harrison by any means. I think it was kind of a 1 week fluke kind of thing. They were trying to just build the chemistry and that kind of thing. So why I do like Dortch, and like you said, he's still getting a lot of targets. I don't think he'll see all of those targets every single week either. Marvin Harrison's going to get some of those. So
I
something
definitely
to
agree.
there.
It's definitely something to think about just with Dortch. I think if Dortch sees that many targets again in week two, that's definitely going to catch my attention. I'm going to start thinking, oh, what's going on here at Dortch? Is Kyler Murray starting to like a slot receiver? So it's just something I'm definitely keeping an eye on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Did you tune into those rookie quarterbacks this week?
Well, I did see one, as in Bo Nix, being a Seahawks fan. Got to see Bo Nix. I watched Red Zone before the Seahawks game, so I see the highlights. Caleb Williams, I think he did all right, right? He did all right.
He did
No?
bad. He
Really?
did really bad. Here I got his stats up for you. So we got 14 for 29, which is 48%. 48.3. Sorry, I don't want to round down for you. 93 passing yards. That's 3.2 yards per completion. Zero touchdowns, zero interceptions, sacked twice. He had 5 carries for 15 yards. Not a good look.
Who'd they play?
QBR was, sorry, what?
Who'd they play?
They play the Titans. The Titans, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the first rookie quarterback to win their opening game since I believe it was David Carr in 2002 with the Texans, and the Bears offense didn't score a single point.
Yeah.
Well, like touchdown. I mean, they had goals, but brutal.
Yeah. One thing from week one is the kickers, man. There was a lot of kicking going on.
There was a lot of kicking going on. Jake Moody almost won me a fantasy league last night, and that would have been wild.
Yeah. Kickers were going ham, but back down to the rookie quarterbacks. One thing in my mind, this is the one thing I'm going way off track here, but the NBA, if a player gets a season-ending injury their rookie year, they count that next year as their rookie year. So recently, Chet
It's dumb.
Holmgren, what?
It's dumb to me, but whatever.
Yeah, it's done to you, but I'm just saying in my mind, I honestly think as of Anthony Richardson almost as a rookie, right? Now I know he's not a I know I'm not saying he should be a rookie. I'm just saying he doesn't have as many experience. I wouldn't call him a second year player. I'd call him like that in between. What, he played 4 games last year? So this was his fifth game in the NFL?
So you would just, for argument's sake, you're saying Patrick Mahomes, he just gets a free pass on that first year that he was sitting
No.
behind Alex Smith?
No.
Why not? He didn't
No.
play.
I'm saying injury, all right? It's still his first game, right? Patrick Mahomes' first game is his first game. Being on the bench is totally
Yeah,
different
but it
from
was in
being
his
on
second
the game.
season.
What? I'm not
Nah,
saying
whatever.
it's
Keep going.
Anthony
Keep going.
Richardson's
What do you
first
got?
season, dude. I'm not saying it's his first season. I'm just not saying it's his second season.
Okay. Anyways,
All right. I was extremely impressed with Anthony Richardson, is what
I
I'm saying.
agree. Anthony
Uh,
Richardson had a really good game. The Colts look very good.
I was a big fan. He looked like he could sling it. He looked like he was running really well. I was watching him pretty closely. He's one of my fantasy quarterbacks, so gets a little bit more of my attention, you know. But there was two deep balls that he missed on, and if he can dial those in, man, Anthony Richardson's going for like 60 fantasy points this week. So
No, Richardson did look good. I had some mixed feelings about Anthony Richardson going into the season. Being as like you said, he got injured halfway or not halfway. I mean, what he played like 5 games last year, so there was still like a lot of unknown about him. He has all the physical traits you could possibly want. He's mobile. He's got a heck of an arm. The question mark was just can he get it done, right? And he showed it. He boat raced the Texans and almost came out on top. So good for him. I mean, both the Texans and the Colts look really good. So uh, hopefully, of what's to come, young, promising player.
yeah, definitely young and promising. You touched on his injury. So last year he played in 4 games.
Okay,
Uh, Only one game he completed. He only played 100% in one game.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
So yeah, week one he almost completed. He got hurt there towards the end, so they took him out. Week two, that's when he got injured. I don't remember what it was, and then he was out for a week after that. Week four is the one he completed, and then he got his torn labrum. I'm pretty sure, which was the season-ending injury. So the way, just with Anthony Richardson, the way he runs, he's taking a lot of contact, right? We saw that I know you were worried about that with Lamar Jackson. I think your prediction was like Lamar Jackson's gonna be out of the league in 5 years. He's still in the league now, but
Fair enough.
yeah.
He got there.
But with Anthony Richardson, the only red flag I'm seeing with him is his injury problems. I'm a big AR fan. Just if he can stay healthy, I think he'll make a run for an amazing quarterback in this league. I would say in 2, 3 years, we're going to be looking at him as a top five quarterback.
I could see it. I mean, he's got the potential to be there. Um, what was up with all the quarterbacks running week one?
Like
You had
Baker
Lamar
Mayfield?
Jackson, who had like, I don't know how many carries did he have? He had a lot too.
Baker Mayfield? Baker
Yeah, I
Mayfield had
mean,
like it
I
was
know
like an underrated amount.
Lamar Jackson had double digits. I don't know the exact amount. I feel like he was pushing 15 if he didn't get there.
All right, Baker Mayfield was not running, but I don't think of Baker Mayfield as a running quarterback. He ran 3 times, which I think is a lot for
Why did
Baker.
your mind instantly go to Baker Mayfield running three
He's on
times?
my fantasy bench and he scored 37 points.
Throwing it.
Yeah, he was slinging
Any,
the rock. He was
anyways,
slinging.
my point was you had both Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson, who were very similar play styles, by the way. It's just Lamar's a little more skitty. I don't know what I was trying to say there.
Finesse,
Uh,
elusive.
better eight. Lamar's a better runner than Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a better passer. You know, if you feel what I'm saying. Regardless,
Hmm.
Jaden Daniels carried the ball 16 times as well. Ran the ball a lot. Dude was losing his helmet left and right. Dude needs to get his strings trap figured out so he doesn't get a concussion because he will not last long with him getting blown up like this. You had Kyler Murray scurrying all over the yard. Josh Allen was scurrying all over the yard. Like, what is going on? Even Jalen Hurts wasn't running as much as he usually does.
Geno Smith with a touchdown.
Geno Smith is a 30-something yard touchdown.
They put
What is
something
going?
in that those Gatorade bottles that they're only giving to the quarterbacks or something, man.
Quarterbacks are just we're just running more, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, a quarterback that won't be running for a very long time is Jordan Love.
It's true. Well, I mean, probably could. I don't really know what an MCL sprain all entails.
Yeah, I'm no doctor, but as a Packers fan hater, what are they gonna do?
So it sounds like they're running with Malik Willis, which is very interesting, right? So they play. Oh no, I just had this. Who do they play this week?
Taking a look.
You take a look at that. I know they don't have a great matchup this week. I know there was like
Indianapolis.
oh, they play the Colts. Yeah, so they're gonna lose the Colts this week. I don't give them a chance. Pretty safe bet would be my guess. Anyways, I believe before the Jordan Love injury, they were like 3 to 4 point favorites in that game, the Packers that being. And now that Malik Willis is hurt, it went like the other way, like 3 to 4 points to the Colts now. But Jordan Love is an
You
eight
mean
point.
Jordan Love is hurt? Jordan Love is hurt. Malik Willis is completely healthy.
Yeah, sorry, my mind's going faster than my mouth. Yeah, so Jordan Love is apparently 8 points valuable to the Packers and swings it completely the other direction, which I thought was crazy.
Hmm.
The one good thing as for a Packer fan, I am not a Packer fan myself, is they didn't put him on the IR, meaning they're probably expecting him to play within the next 4 weeks. Looking at their schedule, it sounds like as like a best case scenario, this injury could last somewhere between 3 days to a week, depending on the severity of it, which I don't know all the doctor's side of that kind of stuff. That ain't me. My guess is they for sure aren't going to rush him back for this week. So they'll have Malik Willis struggle through it. They're going to take the L this week because it's early on in the season. You're not in dire need of a win right now, right? You can still win 2 games and still make the playoffs, right? Right, which is fine. Then they play the Titans in week 3, I believe.
And if they
I
lose
think
that game,
they'll I think they can win that game even with Malik Willis.
I think they definitely can. But if they lose that game and you're 0
Well,
3,
then they're in
you're
trouble.
that's where you're going. That's where I'm hitting the panic button.
The alternative is you rush Jordan Love back against the Titans. He gets hurt and then he's out for a couple more weeks.
Then your season's definitely over.
And then your season's definitely over. So you sit Jordan Love for sure this week. You take the L. It is what it is. Next week, you let Malik Willis try and prove something against his former team. I think the Packers can struggle through that and kind of work around Malik Willis enough to get a win against the Titans. And then you bring Jordan Love back the week after that if he's healthy enough. That's
I
that's
got
what makes sense in my mind.
mhm. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
After watching Indy this last week,
Mm-hmm.
if the Packers even had a Jordan Love, or even had a perfectly healthy Jordan Love, Jordan Love was completely fine. They just lost the Eagles because he was healthy. They ran one more play. They missed the Hail Mary. They lost. Everything's fine. After Indy's week last week and after the Packers week last week, do you still think the Packers win this game with Jordan Love fully healthy?
I do.
I I
I
liked
think the Eagles. Well, I liked them too. I think the Colts are a good team, but I think the Eagles are a better team than the Colts, and the Packers almost beat the Eagles. And those field conditions weren't great. I mean, there was a lot of factors that went into it. But completely healthy Jordan Love and that same team a week later from that game, I think they can handle the Colts. But now I don't think there's a chance.
I think it's a game for sure. I think it's definitely a close game.
It's a football game, buddy. That's what they do.
Okay. This guy. This guy.
Home run.
This
All right.
this guy. But I think it would be a close game with Jordan Love in. I as much as I don't want to say it, I do think the Packers would come out on top. That that hurt my
Neither one.
soul.
I don't think if
But
you're in a survivor pool this week, Colts is going to be an easy win.
I was just about to say, but at least in real life, not this imaginary world I just created, Indy's gonna win. And the Packers are gonna be 0-2.
Most likely. That is my prediction as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now my panic this week. I'm pressing the panic button here. It's scaring me. The Bengals.
Really? All right.
New England, man. Me and you had New England competing for the number one overall draft pick this year. Or
They
this
still
coming
won't.
year. And I still think New England's
They still
terrible.
won't.
I think New England is terrible, right? But what's going on with the Bengals, man? Losing to New England?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. It was not great.
It
So,
wasn't great. It was horrendous.
yeah, it was a really bad game. However, last year they played the Browns week 1 and lost 24-3.
The Browns are a good team.
Okay. They still lost. It takes the Browns a couple, or it takes the Bengals a couple weeks. You got to give them a chance.
All right, but
I
losing to the
say, I say,
Losing
I
to the
say,
Browns and then losing to New England are two different things.
I say, pump the brakes on the Bengals.
Dude,
They didn't
Jacoby
have T.
Brissett is the
Higgins.
quarterback.
Listen, I'm not saying that they had a good game, and I'm not saying the Patriots aren't a bad team. All I'm saying is that it's a little overreaction to jump on the Bengals are bad this season bandwagon. All right. I say give them another week. Joe Burrow looked bad, but they'll get it. They'll get it together. They'll get it right. T. Higgins will come back. They'll be all right.
Dude,
I'm not hitting the panic button just yet in the Bengals.
smashing the panic button.
Yeah.
Losing to New England at home. You are facing New England at your turf. You're not in New England. That's insane to me, dude. Can
You know
you
what team I'm
name
hitting?
what are you panicking? What are you panicking?
There's gonna be kind of a surprise.
It's gonna be the Seahawks.
It's not going to be the Seahawks.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
panic about the Seahawks. The team that I think needs to panic is the Browns. The
The Bro-
Browns
they did
need to
get
panic.
slaughtered. They did get slaughtered.
Not just because of who they played. I mean, the Cowboys are a decent team. Their offense really didn't do a whole lot. I understand that the Browns were missing their offensive tackles, I believe. I believe both of them. Deshaun Watson looks terrible. And he has looked terrible. That man hasn't really come back to form since he's been on the Browns. He was electric on the Texans. He was supposed to be this next elite quarterback, right? And then there was the whole scandals, which are slightly coming back. We're not going to get into those. That's not what this show's about. We're about ball. Um, the
He was getting his
Browns.
balls touched.
Jesus, freak. Um, the contract that the Texans or the Browns have gotten themselves into with this guy is horrendous. Russell Wilson was before this offseason the largest dead cap contract a team has ever eaten, like ever. And something like the 30 something millions of dollars this year that the Broncos are eating, right? If the Browns cut Deshaun Watson next year, in 2025, they have to eat 70, just shy of $73 million. And then in
Yeah.
2026, they have to eat the same amount.
Damn.
So for 2 seasons, you have to pay him $73 million against your cap. And then in 2027, when he's 3 years removed from the team, you have to pay him another 27 mil. So for the next 3 years, the Browns are there's nothing they can do. You keep him on your team, you can't win with him. We've figured that out the last couple of years. You could probably win without him. I mean, you had Joe Flacco come in and roll with them. The problem is you just don't have any money to spend for the next 3 years. So your team is just caught in this limbo of like, what are we supposed to do? And that's why I'm thinking that Browns, you got to panic. If Deshaun Watson can't put this together and he looks like he did this week, rest of the season, Browns are done for the next 3 years.
I
Ultimate panic button.
I can't really come up with an argument saying no, right? The only thing I say is get a new quarterback. Keep Deshaun Watson as a backup or trade him or do something.
I would just, I think you cut him, right? You just move on. You draft a rookie, so you have a rookie contract for the next couple of years to try and offset some of that cost, and you just try and move on. Like
What?
I don't know. I don't get paid enough to make these kind of decisions.
I don't get paid enough to who signed Deshaun Watson in the first place?
I don't know. I
Why,
don't know who
why
that
are we
GM
signing him to that kind of deal is my question.
is. That GM still on the like? Is he still the GM of the Browns?
No clue.
I don't know. I might have to do a little research on that to figure that out because he shouldn't have a job. That's bad.
No.
So that's the team that I am full panic mode on.
I can get that. I like the Brown. I liked the Browns coming into this year. I liked their defense. I liked their roster overall. I thought it was a pretty good roster, and though they have a decent line. I think Myles Garrett, I think you can't really go wrong when you have Myles Garrett on your team. I think your defense will always be at least decent. Uh, if you have a star like Myles Garrett on your team. So I always think of the Browns as like, hey, they're an all right team. Um, if you had to project where they're going to finish among the league this year, where would you put them?
Oh man, I'd have to go through their schedule. I know they're dealing with some injuries now. David Njoku went down with another injury too. I, I would say 500 is probably best case scenario for the Browns. Just off the top of my head, spitballing with you. I don't. I think as a Browns fan, you'd probably be happy if you go 500. Well, you can't go exactly 500, but one game above 500, if you know what I'm saying.
Definitely. I can agree. I don't remember what my original projection was for him. I think it was maybe around 500. So
I'm not sure. We'd have to go back and
if it
check.
was around 500, I'm the best predictor ever. But,
Um, what's the team that you're like? All right, let's. We've already kind of talked about like our pump the brakes, right? For week one, not to get too overreacted, whatnot. Well, you got another pump the brake for me. Something that people are probably running wild with because obviously first game everybody overreacts. But you're like, all right, let's calm down. Let's bring this back to reality, similar to Marvin Harrison only getting one catch kind of thing.
uh I guess I'm gonna kind of throw this at you. I'm gonna ask you this. What's going on with Terry McLaurin, man?
I don't know, man. That was disappointing. I started him as a sleeper this week. I'm like, I gotta, if I'm gonna call my shots, I gotta live and die by him, right? Well,
3.7
I
points.
died by it.
I
That was brutal. It was brutal.
Yikes,
Uh,
man.
I don't know. I didn't catch the Commanders game, so I can't speak to what actually happened in the game. I know the 16 carries from Jane Daniels probably doesn't help. Those are 16 opportunities he probably could have passed the ball. So those are potential targets he's taken away from Terry. Maybe that's the case. I'd have to go back and watch the whole game. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers also played extremely well. Good for them. Something I didn't expect to see happening. Although I did have the Buccaneers winning the division. So maybe I kind of did see it happening, I guess. Falcons look bad there, Reed.
All right. No, no. Right now we're focusing on you. All right.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we'll get to the Falcons and we'll bring those guys back up. I don't want to hear your opinion because
All right.
that's kind of
But
how I thought they were going to look this year. But we'll get to that.
just my thought right now is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl in 3 years is getting beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 37-20.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be a lot of developing that's got to go on in 3 years here.
Do you know the Seahawks record 3 years before they won the Super Bowl?
No clue.
Wasn't great.
No?
I think it was the Tavares Jackson year.
Dude,
I think that was the
I can barely
Jim
remember the
Mora
Super Bowl.
year, I believe. Could be wrong about that.
You're the Seahawk fan.
Or maybe it was Pete Carroll's first like that.
All right. Fair enough. That's a good point. I'm just a little mad because I had Terry
You need a
McLaurin
building
because
block season, man.
building block
Building
season.
block season.
Terry McLaurin needs to turn it around, is all I'm saying.
He will. He's still going to finish top five as a wide receiver. I already called it. Jane Daniels does look good to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. So if anybody took my
That,
advice and threw some money on that, you know where to
that
come
is
back.
true. He did have a very explosive game. He looked very good.
They'll turn it around. I got faith in the Commanders.
Okay.
Now we'll flip it back over to you there, buddy. How
I
did
was hoping
your
you were. I
Kirk
was hoping he was going to
Cousins-led
forget.
Falcons look against the Pittsburgh Steelers,
All
the great
right.
and high and mighty Pittsburgh Steelers?
First of all, I don't know why you're hating on the Steelers. The Steelers are a
Hmm,
decent team,
or
and
not?
they are going to have a winning record this year because Mike Tomlin will never have a losing record. It's in
Wrong.
the script. It's in the script. It's in the
Not true.
script. It's in the script. It's in the script. So just the only reason they really lost this is because the NFL basically rigged the game so that the Steelers started 1
This,
and 0.
that's where you're going with this?
Yeah,
You have no actual rational explanation of what
yeah.
happened. You're just going straight to it. It was rigged.
Big Kirko sucks is my explanation. Give me MPJ. That's my
I
explanation.
I will say the rookie quarterback that made the biggest leap in week one was probably Michael Penix Jr., and he didn't even take a snap. Because
I
he's looking mighty fine. They're sitting on the bench for the Falcons right now.
Man, just 2 interceptions.
He looked so uncomfortable in the pocket.
Kirk Cousins.
Yep. Couldn't find anybody, was missing passes. Just it was brutal. I bet he's wishing he was back home in Minnesota. He's regretting his decision to leave so bad right now.
Hey, that's another guy we should touch on. But as we finish this up, I did, however, love Bijan Robinson. I thought he was phenomenal. Um, like I said, coming into this year, I was thinking Bijan over Brees. I know a lot of people were thinking the other way around, Brees over Bijan. Again, I'm not a big fan of Brees. I don't really know where all the hype came from. I get it. He looked really good his first year, tore his ACL, I think. And he's always looked good. I guess I'm just not a big fan of him. It's kind of like that Ramondre Stevenson, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua type thing. I think I honestly would say I'd put Brees Hall there. I'm just not a big fan of Brees Hall, man. I wouldn't say I hate him. He's not completely up there. Like Cooper Kupp's here, Ramondre Stevenson's here, Puka Nakua's here, and then Brees Hall's like down here. You can't see that, but he's climbing, dude. He's climbing. I'm not a big
Reed,
fan of Brees Hall.
do you know the funny thing about all those players you just named, minus Puka Nacua?
What?
They all were like the best at their position this week. Ramondre Stevenson went off.
So
Cooper
like,
Kupp had 21 targets. Who gets 21 targets in a game? That's ridiculous. Cooper Kupp looks
uh,
like he's trying to come back for his triple crown. The guy
I
you hate is going to be
swear
wide receiver one this year.
he will not
Again,
be wide receiver one. Stop glazing.
he might be.
Stop
I'm
glazing.
not. I'm leading the stats, dude.
Cooper Cup is not good.
14 catches.
Cooper Cup is not good. It's a fluke. Rigged. That's what I'm calling it. It's part of the
It
NFL
can't be
script.
a. It can't be. It cannot be a fluke if he's done it once before and now he's doing it again.
That
That
year was a
literally defies the
fluke.
definition.
Matthew Stafford made that man's career.
There's nothing wrong with that.
All right, fair enough. But he's not a top 10 wide receiver.
He is right now. He was this week.
Matthew Stafford makes him play like that, but he's not a top 10 talent wise. Matthew Stafford is the reason why Cooper Cup is good.
You're weird.
Hey, I might be weird, but I'm right.
All right. Anyways, continue on with your rant of the high performing fantasy players that you dislike.
Bijan's better than Brees. End of discussion.
They're both good running backs.
All right, moving on to your prediction that actually
It is
turned out
getting
somehow.
getting back to your point that you started with. Bijan finally got the respect and the amount of carries and opportunities that he should be getting on a weekly basis. That is exactly what Arthur Smith should have been doing with him all last year. Throw him the ball, hand it off to him a bunch, get the dude involved. He's your best player now. What the Falcons just need to figure out how to do is keep Kirk comfortable in the pocket and get him to throw the ball accurately, because that is what's holding this team back right now.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Uh, but the one good thing, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kirk's one touchdown was to Kyle Pitts, correct?
It was. You are correct.
I did indeed say I was kind of high on Kyle Pitts this year. He's starting off week one
Everybody,
with a tutty.
everybody's always high on Kyle Pitts every year.
This is his year, man. No Arthur Smith.
Could be. I wouldn't hate it. I'm cheering for
I
the guy.
Hey, week one touchdown is the good way to start for Kyle Pitts.
The guy that I had in my hot takes, I know you wanted to get to this. We're gonna pump the brakes a little bit because of the opponent they played, though. Sam Darnold did look good. He did look good.
He did.
Future
He
Jet
did.
quarterback.
Future Jets quarterback is insane.
I mean, do you see Aaron Rodgers getting frustrated on the sideline? It's already brewing. It's the pot has started stirring already. He's getting frustrated with his guys. He's not liking the play calls. It's all coming to fruition. My evil plan of Sam Darnold going back home to the Jets. No, yeah, Sam Darnold played the Giants, so let's not get carried away. I kind of want to see another game against a decent opponent before I jump to the. Well, I mean, I already did jump to say he was going to be good, but before I pat myself on the back and say I predicted it correctly, let's give Sam Darnold a real opponent before we do that. But I am happy with how he did. Going to be scooping him in a redraft league and starting him in my super flex. So I'm happy to say that I was right at least for week one. Go
So
Sam.
you
Go Sam
weren't
Darnold.
so you weren't doing that before week one?
No, I had Geno Smith because the matchup.
So we weren't completely
It
bought
was a
into our
matchup play.
hot take.
It was a
Oh,
matchup play. It
matchup.
worked for me.
It did. It did. Yeah. What about matchups this week? Fantasy
Matchups
wise.
this week. You had a really good take with the Broncos defense with the run defense,
Thank you.
meaning especially with the Steelers playing the Broncos this week. But I think both Najee and Jalen Warren have a high dosage of carries with quite a bit of yards and even probably some touchdowns placed in there. I would Najee Harris is probably going to be a wide running back one this week in fantasy for sure. Starting him, Jalen Warren didn't look great with the amount of opportunities that he had in that offense. I think it's mostly because of Justin Fields, who looks like he's in line to start again this week. We'll have to see kind of how the week progresses on that front. Regardless of which quarterback's starting, I really like Najee to get a good amount of yards and score a touchdown this week. So good matchup there. You got one? Otherwise, I got another one.
I got one. Someone I really liked this last week, Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie wide receiver for the Jags. He scored a touchdown last week. I think he looked really good. Trevor Lawrence threw him the ball a lot. He looked like a true wide receiver one on the Jags team. And I think that's what he is because Christian Kirk's in the slot. Correct me if I'm wrong. Brian Thomas is their number
Who
one
are we
outside
talking
guy.
about right now?
Brian Thomas Jr.
We talking about Brian Thomas. We're talking about Brian Robinson. Sorry, I was thinking of somebody completely different. Brian Thomas Jr. is the wide receiver for the Jaguars. You asked me if he was a slot receiver?
No, Christian Kirk's the slot receiver, correct?
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Just sorry. Just needed to confirm there. But
Yeah, I was thinking Brian Robinson. I was all confused when you started talking about the Jaguars. It was had me all messed up.
Oh, no. Brian Thomas, he caught a touchdown in week one. And I liked the amount of targets he got, the amount of receptions. It looked like Trevor Lawrence was looking his way a lot. Liked what I saw from Brian Thomas and the Jags. And now they're going to face that Cleveland team, right? Now, my one kind of iffy thing is the Jags played who they play? Miami. And the one thing I saw is Trevor Lawrence was getting pressured a lot.
Mhm.
He was getting rushed a lot, hit a lot, which I don't like, especially when you're going against Cleveland, who I just mentioned, Myles Garrett, who is one of the best edge rushers, just rushers in general in this league. So I think there's going to be another type of feel there for Trevor Lawrence. So I don't want to say this is going to be like the same result as last week, but I have a feeling we're going to see very similar numbers from Brian Thomas. So I think he would be a great flex play this week.
Good reach in the bag. I'm gonna stick with running back. Chargers play the Panthers this week. As everybody probably saw, if you're on Red Zone, you saw the Saints absolutely obliterate. I think J.K. Dobbins is a huge fantasy scoop this week. He got a ton of usage, he got a ton of yards, and he got a touchdown last week. I think Jim Harbaugh really likes him as a running back, kind of over Gus Edwards, who had I think 11 carries. So I mean, even Gus the Bus still saw some good usage, and he might even get some goal line carries this week against the Panthers. I think the Chargers are going to absolutely just roll the Panthers here. Justin Herbert's going to air it out a little bit, but I like J.K. Dobbins to get it in the end zone and to put up another probably 100-yard game. So a guy that's on some of the waiver wires on a lot of the teams. He's who I'm going to be targeting in the waiver wire tonight to try and scoop him and either have him as some depth going forward or maybe even throw him in a flex spot this week.
Definitely. I'm kind of just really liking this matchup, I guess, but I'm going right back to the Browns now against the Jags this week. Jerome Ford.
Okay. Game of the week?
Might be. But I'm liking Jerome Ford in this matchup as well. I think Jerome Ford last week had a lot of carries. He put up good numbers. And just as a fantasy owner, I want to use him as much before Nick Chubb comes. And ultimately, I don't think Nick Chubb's coming back from this injury. Just my opinion. I can share more about that if I need to, but I think it's kind of obvious when his knee's bent that far backwards. It's kind of hard to come back and be the same player he was, especially being that physical of a runner. But Jerome Ford looked really good last week. I think he looked like a startable running back for sure. He had amazing fantasy numbers wise, at least. And I'm expecting the same out of him in week two. He's facing Jacksonville, who aren't the best run defenders. So I'm expecting a big week from Jerome Ford.
I'll give you another position other than running back, just because I've been kind of focusing there. Buccaneers Lions. I like Baker to send it right back. Get another 2 touchdown, 3 touchdown game against the Lions. I could see this game being a very high scoring game. Although the Buccaneers are kind of known for having good defenses, and the Lions are just kind of a all around good team. I think you're looking Buccaneers scoring high 20s, maybe even low 30s. Lions somewhere in that same boat, probably mid to high 20s. I could see this being somewhere in the 34 to 28 range at this game. Quite a few fantasy points to go around kind of all together. But particularly, I think Baker Mayfield has another good game in this matchup for them. I think he airs the ball out a lot. So another guy would be worth starting or scooping if he's out there on the waiver wire.
All right. Now I think it's time we should move on to like weekly sits or guys you don't
Sure.
like.
As you don't like.
You want to start us off there?
You got one offhand?
Um, I wouldn't say start, but I'm definitely considering or sit. Sorry, I'm definitely considering sitting him. Is Jaden Reed? He had an explosive week in week one, and now I'm kind of iffy. Jordan Love's out. I kind of want him to make him prove to me that he can be what we saw in week one without Jordan Love. So I don't think I'm gonna have him starting in my starting lineup this week. And he's probably gonna go nuclear just with my luck and how bad I am at predicting stuff. He's probably gonna be amazing, right? And I'm just gonna be like, hey, never listen to me again, guys. I'm just out here trying to give you advice that isn't really good. But I just want Jane Reed to prove it to me that he doesn't need Jordan Love to be a good fantasy option.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to go with Zamir White, Raiders running back. He didn't have a great opening day. I thought he was going to be, I thought they were going to turn around, hand the ball off to him 20 times in the game. They play the Ravens this week, who are well known for their good defense. I think they're going to be behind early as well in this game, meaning they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. So I think the ball is going to be in Minshew's hands a lot more than Zamir White, meaning they're being passing down situations. Zamir White's not that type of running back. I really don't like Zamir White in this matchup whatsoever. So for those of you who have some deeper leagues or you have Zamir White as a flex or running back two option, I would probably keep him on your bench and look elsewhere for a better matchup.
I don't know how much people are actually starting this guy, but Tank Dell, uh, I going into this year, I thought, hey, he's like kind of a wide receiver three on his own roster, and I'm not saying Tank Dell's bad. I think Tank Dell's an amazing player. He's just behind two very good wide receivers. You got Stephon Diggs, who, in my opinion, is honestly a ball hog and gets the ball a little too much, in my opinion. And then you have Nico Collins, who is an extremely underrated receiver, in my opinion, and gets also a lot of targets. So not that Tank Dell is a bad receiver. If he were to get targets, he would be an amazing fantasy option. It's just the fact that he's not getting those targets. So I would probably sit Tank Dell this week.
Fair enough there for sure. I like I'll stay on the same page. Me and you had the same kind of mindset. I'm liking to sit Stephon Diggs this week. The Bears are going to have Jalen Johnson, I believe his name is,
Yep.
one of the better corners in the league. I think Jalen Johnson is going to absolutely shut down Stephon Diggs. That might open up opportunities to Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, maybe even Tank Dell, who you just brought up. You don't like him. I don't like Stephon Diggs to do much in this game. I think he's going to be shut down pretty well. The Texans' just passing game in general might not be anything great in this game. So that's something to avoid in my mind.
Uh, do we want to move on to defense kickers matchups real quickly?
We can do defensive catchers matchups pretty quick. I mean, we're running out of time, so we can touch on those.
My defense of the week, I think last week it was Seattle too, but I'm going Seattle this week. As a Seahawks fan, yes, I'm a homer, but man, did that defense look amazing. All right. Yes, the Broncos put up 20 points, but I'm honestly blaming most of those points on the Seattle's offense. Seattle's offense made way too many mistakes. I mean, they gave him the ball too many times. Two safeties in one game is insane, first of all. I don't know why we're calling a counter on the one. Just common football knowledge, a counter is a slow developing play, and you're calling it on the 1 yard line. Not the biggest fan of that call. Just a little opinion of mine there. But them putting up or them giving up 20 points to the Broncos in week one, I think it's just a fluke, I guess you could say. I don't think it was mostly their fault. And when they were given a good opportunity to stop them, like the Broncos actually had to drive and go score points, the Seahawks looked amazing on defense. And now they're going up against New England, who I think is a worst offense. I mean, when you have Jacoby Brissett at your quarterback, how good can you really be? So I like Seattle Seahawks this week.
I like the Colts defense against the Packers. For all the reasons we just talked about, Malik Willis is not going to be well versed in this offense, meaning they're going to be limited on their playbook. I think they're going to lean heavily on Josh Jacobs, meaning the Colts are going to load the box and try and force Malik Willis to pass the ball. I think the Colts defense is a sneaky good defense to scoop up this week in fantasy and start them for the 1 week against the Packers. Gave up a lot of points against the Texans, but they're not playing CJ Stroud this week.
For kickers, I'm kind of torn between two here. I'm guessing one of them's yours. I
Maybe I got a couple. Got a couple good ones too.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the one I don't think is yours. I'm gonna go Young Ho Koo,
All right.
Falcons kicker.
Okay.
They play Philly, I think, Monday Night Football. I think Kirk Cousins hopefully bounce back game just because I hoping the Falcons do good. But I'm honestly thinking the Falcons don't get in the end zone very much, but they drive down, and I'm thinking Koo is gonna get a lot of field goals. That's what I'm planning there. I'm not thinking they're gonna like score a bunch and they're gonna get a lot of PATs. I'm thinking they're gonna get like stopped close to the red zone or like at the 40, and then Koo's gonna have to come on and kick a field goal. So that's what I'm guessing for Koo.
I got uh I got two. Do you want my kind of my obvious one or do you want my kind of more sneaky one?
I'm guessing your obvious one is Cameron Dicker.
No, was not. I mean, that's going to be a good one too. I think they should punch the ball in the end zone quite a bit instead of kick field goals.
That's one where it's like,
Be
hey, he's gonna
my
give you like
lock.
11 points for extra points.
Right.
It's not gonna be like 20 points, but it's gonna be a good 10 points. So if you want a safe option, Cameron Dicker is your safe option. But if you want like Jake Moody or Chris Bosworth, I I'm guessing whoever he says or Koo is gonna be your like boomer bust here.
So my go-to boom is going to be um Brandon Aubrey on the Cowboys. Cowboys just always kick a lot of field goals. They're a very conservative offense. They don't like going for it on fourth down a lot. Saints historically have a bend but don't break type defense. So they allow you to get close to the end zone, but then they make you force to kick a field goal. Great situation for the Cowboys kicker. He's kind of been one of the better kickers in the league, anyways. My sneaky one is Graham Gano on the Giants that played the Commanders this week. Dan Quinn came from the Cowboys, had pretty decent defense over there. He's still working on it. They kind of got rolled last week against the Buccaneers, but I don't think the Giants have that great of an offense anyways, meaning I think they're going to be able to move the ball into field goal range, but not really get the job done, leading to a lot of field goals. So sneaky kicker pickup would be Graham Gano this week from the sleeper kicker finder.
The sleeper
Gotta get
kicker
my
finder.
gotta get my team name in there.
I think you gotta explain that now.
Yeah, so that's my fantasy football team name in one of my dynasty leagues, is Sleeper Kicker Finder. A couple years back, I found this trend where any team who played the Saints, their kicker averaged like 13 points or something like that. So there was like a 4 to 5 week span where I just picked up any kicker playing against the Saints, and I just started rolling in fantasy. It was awesome. So I changed my team name to the Sleeper Kicker Finder, and I do find enjoyment in finding kickers when they get at like 15 points or something like that. It's one of the best feelings in fantasy when you can just sneak a good kicker by somebody.
I think off that point is where we're gonna end it tonight.
I'm good with that. Stay on, keep on those kickers, boys.
As Jameson just made the point that your kicker is gonna win you your fantasy league, so you
They
all know.
can. I had three good ones this week.
But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed our little like I think you called it Overreaction Tuesday, right?
Overreaction Tuesday.
We shared our thoughts on what we thought was going to happen, whether the Bengals are going to suck or the Falcons are going to suck, whatever we said today.
Marvin
But
Harrison looks
we
like a
also,
bust.
what was that?
Marvin Harrison looks like a bust.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll turn it around. But
Oh, yeah.
thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed our fantasy advice, all of that. Our weekly starts, weekly sits, the sleeper kicker finder, as you know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your opinions in the comments. We'll definitely respond, think about it, tell you what we feel, how you feel, all of that good stuff. And guys, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching.
That was good.